The first is road maintenance. We need to make sure that all of our roads are passable, that people that live out in the rural parts of our community can get up and down the roads safely. Also, as Lubbock County continues to grow, our rural population is expanding rapidly, especially out in the Cooper area and in parts of my precinct as well. We need to make sure that Woodrow Road is passable and safe for anybody that goes up and down it. That'll be the first one that I see facing us. Also, tax rate's important. As you well know, appraisal creep has been advancing very quickly, so we need to try to make sure that our tax rate reflects those increases by lowering the tax rate each year back to the effective rate. Just because the value of your home goes up doesn't necessarily mean it costs more to run Lubbock County. And I'll make sure that I keep that in mind when passing a tax rate. And the last one is going to be transparency and clarity. A lot of people call down the county and they can't get the answers they need. I want to see to it that those answers are provided.
I think the three most pressing issues that the county is facing, a lot of it we're seeing because of the growth that we're facing in the community right now. With growth becomes, several problems. There's advantages to it, but there's also problems. One of them is infrastructure. We need to make sure we have our roads properly maintained, we have the roads in place that we need for the transit we're hitting when we get more population involved. We also see criminal justice issues. As the population hits about 250,000, that's when we start seeing a pretty significant increase in crime. So we need to make sure we stay on top of patrol and duties and staff for that. Something else we need to look at is some social issues. Try and fix some of the seemingly smaller issues, but things that can build up into larger issues as they manifest. We want to stop those from happening.
For the Lubbock County budget, one specific change I would definitely propose is we need to figure out how to go ahead and fully fund Sheriff Rose's pay raises for his deputies that they were promised over 6 years ago. We need to figure out how to do that. One of the other things is voting in the effective rate year after year. Lubbock County is growing, it's growing like a house on fire. There's nothing slowing it down right now, so what we need to be doing with that is voting in the effective rate and then using the increase in tax revenues from new construction as well as sales tax to fund the additional items that Lubbock County needs. Also, more clarity on bonding issues. We need to make sure that any information for a bond is put out there with plenty of time and a good time for questions for the voter to find out exactly what it is they're voting for.
I think for the Lubbock County budget, some changes that we need to make. We just need to make sure that we're applying our funds wisely and trying to plan ahead a little bit better. From what I've seen in the past, we've had some issues with kind of putting things off for time and time, and then all of a sudden we have to fix things. We have to dump a bunch of money into it. So to be better prepared, just overall would be a good thing. So I think that's maybe one of the main things we need to look at. We also need to make sure we're working on some of these social issues, kind of how I mentioned earlier. Fix some of the smaller things as they happen before they become bigger items down the line. So I think that will be a lot more efficient way of using our money. So just overall, just kind of more efficiently using the resources that we have.
The number one thing is forward thinking. We need to be looking ahead. We need to be working with our developers. And, if they're building a new housing development, that's not something that springs up overnight. Those take years of planning. They also take a lot of time to construct as well. There's no reason the county can't keep up with that growth. I'd propose doing a 1 year, 2 year, 5 and a 10-year plan. And then also make sure that our county commissioners are very accessible to our builders so that they know when they're getting ready to start a new project that we can be informed, we can be ready and try to put those funds in place to go ahead and get those roads developed. I'm certainly going to be pro-growth for Lubbock County. I just want to make sure that the county is responding to the needs of our community in a responsible way and a proactive one, which is going to mean staying on top of our traffic patterns and knowing which way our community is growing and where we need to develop.
I think that's something that we need to look at as far as long-term planning. We need to make sure we have our architects in place, that are looking into long-term planning as far as what's needed, first and foremost, to make sure we're hitting the high areas first and then working our way down to lower level items. I know we've been working on getting more caliche pits, which I think has already happened. We need to make sure we have that caliche available, that the transportation costs are honestly some of the highest issues that we have with that. Is it's not just getting the caliche, it's getting it to where it needs to be. So we're paying a lot in transportation, so maybe we can work out a deal that we can kind of reduce that transportation, or if we can find more caliche pits in areas where, closer to where it's needed. And then with Loop 88 coming, we need to make sure that we're doing that efficiently and doing things in a timely fashion and making sure we're not impeding in anybody's property lines.
One of the first things that I would want to advocate for is looking at the crime problem that we have in Lubbock County. Right now, 70% of all crime committed in Lubbock County is drug related. Maybe not necessarily drug busts or somebody being pulled over with an illegal substance, but the burglaries and the robberies, stuff like this, is motivated by someone who may be trying to get money to support a drug habit. Definitely something that we need to look into with Lubbock County is making sure that we're fully funding our sheriff's department, that we do have a way to control, to try to control that. The other thing that we need to be looking at with the drug problem is going to be to make sure that we're also covering the other end. How are we helping to treat those addictions so that we can get people the care that they need or the help they need without them going through the jail? Right now, the Lubbock County Jail, that's where there's a large number of people that are getting their care for drug problems or for mental health issues. That's not the best way to provide that treatment.
I think county government overall is pretty much on the right course. I don't see anything that's drastically wrong. One of the things I see is planning ahead a little bit more. I've mentioned that it seems like we're kind of catching up all the time, and we need to do better about thinking ahead, planning for things that may happen in the future, setting kind of more longer term goals than just year by year. And then the social issues aspect of things. Making sure that we're being more aggressive with some areas here in Lubbock as far as working on the homelessness issues, working on healthcare issues a little bit more, getting access. Working to make sure that our schools are the best that they can be. Those things we need to just kind of make sure that we're fine-tuning those things and keep those things in order.
Well, I'm a small businessman who's worked for a lot of major corporations. That being said, I've seen how a large system works and how a large corporation works. But also having a background in small business, I know how to code a budget. I know how to keep things lean and how to prioritize expenses. That's what I think I really bring to the table for Lubbock County. That's something I offer that my opponent does not. When you look at a small business, you're going to go through and you're going to see business owners that know what it's like to sweat the payroll, that know how to get the most out of their money. A lot of times you'll see people that maybe come from big business or big government, and all they know how to do is spend, spend, spend. I'm not saying that I'll go in there and just cut, but I can guarantee you that I will get the most for every Lubbock County tax dollar.
I think the attributes that I have that set myself apart are my role as an educator. I've been an educator for over 10 years now, and my work that I've done with students. I'm good at explaining things to people. There's a lot of people that don't understand the intricacies of government that I'm able to go out to any different variation of populace and explain to them what's happening so they can understand the issue and not just have talking points that they're throwing at them. So that's one thing is being able to explain, but also as an instructor I'm able to listen to people. Having the listening skills that I have is very important. People often don't feel like their voice is being heard. So I'm very open, having an open door policy, going out in the community and visiting with people, showing them that I am available and that they know who their county commissioner is.